So welcome to our next yoga class. And today, as you can see, it's a bit different. We've got a video inside. Everything we do is on the floor, so that's made it possible for me to do this today. So before we start, I'm going to have a look at just make sure we have enough, all the props that we might need, that we will need during this class. We're going to begin the class with shoulder and face yoga stretches, and then we're going to move on to some gentle yin poses after that, all of which on the floor. So just props, just to have a look to begin with. So the most useful non-yoga shop prop is a blanket or two blankets, which we'll use later. So having those close to you, and a cushion or a few cushions, soft ones, hard ones, and a strap of some sort. This is a dedicated, very pretty pink yoga strap, but it can be a belt that you have, or it could be a dressing gown cord, or even a long sock. It's for the position where we take our hands over our head so we can hold onto the hands with the strap. So a strap. And the most useful yoga prop you buy is probably the yoga block. And here we have a couple of blocks, and we're going to be sitting on the blocks. But just in case you don't have blocks, I'll show you how that works with a couple of books. So they need to be pretty thick books to get that kind of height that you need. And obviously if they're thinner books, you're going to have 3 or 4 of them and they might slip. So the thicker the books, the better. So I'll just show you how that works with the books, the sitting position. If you have any tenderness in the knees, you might want to have a blanket under the knees as well. But from the side, it looks like this. We slide the books between the legs down towards the feet. And then we keep coming forward bit by bit until we're right on the front edge of that support that we've made for ourselves here. So you'll feel it's the right position because your lower back will come into a nice, natural, very gentle curve, and you'll feel that you're lifted. You're sitting right on the front, on the sitting bones. So I'll come back to the front now. Just move the books away, because there's one more adjustment that you need to do. So again, sliding it back. The knees can be together or the knees can be separated, whatever's the most comfortable. For me, it's more comfortable with them separated. So keep going back to get right onto the front edge of those blocks or books. So it feels really comfortable. If you've done this position before, you know that for most people, if you don't have big problems with your knees, this is a very comfortable sitting position. We could keep quite comfortably for 10-15 minutes, which is what will be required today. But of course, anytime you need to come out, pause and stretch, then just feel free to do that. So one last adjustment before we come down. I'm just, as you will be doing in your room, just checking that you have enough room around you. Going to bump into anything. And then sit up. And then draw the inner groins back. So as you do that, you feel the buttocks spread, and you sit down into exactly the same position. But now that should make it even more sustainable and even more comfortable. So from this position, to begin with, just placing the hands on the thighs. I'm going to take a few breaths from here, just closing the eyes. And gently breathing a few times in and out through the nose. Feel the abdomen expanding as you inhale, the breath rising as you inhale to the chest, and the abdomen gently contracting as you exhale, and the chest gently falling as you exhale. As you sit breathing in this position, imagine that you're suspended from the crown of the head by a golden thread. And imagine that thread is gently drawing the crown of the head, ascending up towards the ceiling. So your lower body, everything from the waist down, is heavy and grounded and earthed and yin, and everything from the waist upwards is light and floating and airy and yang, and you're just trying to find that perfect balance between the yin and the yang of the posture. And then gently open the eyes and take the arms out to the side. You can close your eyes once you know what you're doing, if you prefer. So arms out to the side, and a few breaths here for a movement that I learnt as being called gathering chi. So the hands are very lightly curled, palms facing up. You can imagine you're holding two balls of light or balls of energy in the hands if you want to. Just feel the heat in the hands. And as you inhale, float the arms up over the head. And then turn the palms to come down and guide back down the center, keeping the elbows relaxed to your dantian, your hara, your center here just below the navel. Then inhale, floating the arms up again. And as you exhale, gently coming down, drawing down the center. Imagine that as you inhale, you're gathering energy, gathering chi, gathering prana, gathering ki from the world around you, and you're drawing that energy that you found back to your center and storing it there. And a few more times, close your eyes, just a few more times with your own breath. Bring your awareness to your palms of your hands, so as you feel the palms of the hands as you come up, and feel like the fingers are stroking the air as they come up, and stroking the air as they come down. Just one more time. The next time you finish, just placing the palms of the hands one over the other on that energetic center just below the navel, also the physical center of the body as well. There's no coincidence. And then from here, gently shake out the arms. And starting with eye exercises. So we're going to lift the eyes up and down, just trying to isolate the muscles of the eyes as you move them up and down, and then later we're going to go left to right and then round and round. We're going to begin with the eyes going up and down. And what normally happens as you look up is that your forehead will get involved in the movement as well. We don't want the forehead to get involved in the movement. So to help that process and to isolate the eyes, you can place one hand or both hands very gently on the forehead. And so you're keeping the forehead and the eyebrows completely immobile as you gently raise the eyes. And then lower the eyes. And then raise the eyes. And then lower the eyes. Keep your mind and your attention on your hands. Keep the forehead completely soft and relaxed as the eyes go up and the eyes go down. Just using the muscles there to make that movement without any other part of the face moving. Last time. And then moving the eyes from side to side, so moving your eyes all the way to the right, and then both eyes all the way to the left. Again, try not to there are other movements we're going to do where we involve as much of the face as possible, but here you're just trying to isolate the eyes as you take the eyes from side to side. Last time to each side. And then finally, circling the eyes around in the head. Again, placing a hand on the forehead if you're not confident that your forehead's not moving, as you make big circles with the eyes. Doesn't matter whether you go clockwise or anti-clockwise to begin with. Just take the eyes as big circles as you can. So you feel you're really working the eye muscles. And then unwind the circles, taking them round the other way. And then back to the center. And then rub the hands together. Create a bit of warmth in the hands and place the heels of the hands over the eye sockets. Imagine the warmth from the hands is going right into the eyes. Then you're going to, in a moment, you're going to take the hands away, open the eyes and stare as widely as you can into the distance. So doing that now, taking the hands down and staring into the distance. Notice my mouth also got involved there, doesn't have to. And repeat that yourself 3 more times. Rubbing the hands together between each movement, placing the hands over the eyes, taking time to allow the warmth, the beautiful warmth of the hands to penetrate the eyes before you open the eyes and stare into the distance with the hands down. And finish with the eyes closed. And bring the palms of the hands together. The next movement for the face is different from the other one because we're trying to move as much of the face as we can by doing this. So we're going to take a deep inhalation and breathe out through the mouth, and then try and vibrate and make the cheeks and the jowls and the jaw as blubbery as you can. So try and bring as much movement into as much of the face as you can. So a deep inhalation and I didn't extend that for very long. You might find you can make that movement last a bit longer. Just close the eyes. No one can see you. Just repeat that a few times, each time trying to bring as much vibration into the cheeks and especially the cheeks. And the last time. And release. And then from here, take the arms out to the side. And inhale, float your arms up over the head. Bring the palms of the hands together. And keeping the palms of the hands together, gently take the hands behind your head and lift your elbows up. Lift your chest up, open your elbows wide. Make sure you're still sinking down through your blocks. And then keeping the same position, gently clasp the hands and bring the hands onto the back of the head with the thumbs pointing down. The thumbs will probably be about on your neck. And from there, as you inhale, take the elbows out again, as wide as you can, but this time lifting the head towards the ceiling. So you might want to change the position of the hands maybe. Might need to come a little bit higher so you can take your head back and stretch the throat. Take the elbows back, open the shoulders. And as you exhale, draw the elbows together and draw your chin down towards your chest. Allow the elbows to come together, allow your back to round. And then inhale again, lifting up, taking the elbows back, lifting the head, opening and stretching the throat and all the skin of the throat. And as you exhale, slowly rounding the back, drawing the chin down, drawing the elbows towards each other, hugging everything in, drawing your tummy in as well. Last time, inhale. Holding for a breath or two the last time, getting a little bit more stretch to the throat and the jaw. Not a movement we normally do. And exhale, slowly coming down. This time, as the chin comes down, you can release the hands and wrap the arms around you, drawing everything towards your center, front center of the body, drawing the tummy in, drawing the elbows in as the shoulder blades spread. And then release. And then a shoulder stretch here, and a big goofy grin to go with it. So I'm doing this mirror to you, so this will be your left hand if you're following me on the screen going across, and then your right hand, the back of the right hand on the back of the left, and gently begin to straighten your left arm. And you'll find that your body starts to roll in to your right. You don't want that. You want to keep that left arm straight as you can. The more straight you make it, the stronger the stretch is. So you're feeling a tug, a gentle tug in this shoulder. And then to go with it, a big toothy grin. Hold that grin if you want to. And then release. Feel the effects of that stretch. And take the right arm over and the back of the left hand and begin to straighten your right arm. Again, now you're going to feel the tug in this shoulder. So you're drawing back rather than folding around, otherwise you won't feel anything, you'll just feel a twist. And this is not a twist. Big toothy grin. And release. And then eagle from here. So again, I'm doing it mirror to you. So your left arm comes out and your right arm wraps around. So if you can either have the hands in the traditional position, some will be wider around than mine, or just have the fingers pointing up. Or you can always have the hands on the shoulders. It's a slightly different stretch, but it creates the same basic effect. You lift your elbows up and out, and behind this position make a big scream. Imagine that famous painting. Make them out, make it as big a face as you can, screaming behind this eagle pose. And gently release. Keep the arms crossed in front of you. Bring the back of the hands towards each other. And before they touch, turn them around and clasp them together. And then lift the arms up over the head. Again, make sure you're still sinking down through your seat as you lift from your center. Take the elbows and the shoulders back a little bit to increase the stretch. Slowly down. And release. And the other side, when you're ready this time, it's going to be your right arm, your left arm wraps under, or you take the hands onto the shoulder. Either way, you lift the elbows up and away from you to bring that stretch into your shoulders. Hold and breathe, and that big scream again. Make it even bigger. If you're alone in the house, you can even add sound to it if you want to. And then slowly come down, keep the arms crossed. Turn the palms to face each other. Clasp the hands together and stretching the arms up over the head. And again, if the arms are forward, there's not going to be very much stretch in the shoulders. There's a bit of a twist because of the position of your hands. If you take the arms back, finding your edge where you're stretching your shoulders and the underarms as you come up. And then this time you're just going to loose the hands, close the eyes, and then very, 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 very slowly lower your arms down. Millimetre by millimetre. Slowly, slowly, slowly. Feel the sensations in the palms of the hands as you slowly lower down. So this is where you will probably need your strap or your belt. So first of all, lift up, again doing mirror to you, so left hand up, and just pat the back. And then with your other hand, just move the elbow in a little bit so it's closer to your shoulder. And then lift both elbows up. Take the fingertips as far down your shoulder blade as you can as you lift. And then keep the right hand where it is. Find your strap. That's not going to work. So we'll come back to the same position. And release. And then the other side. So pat your back to begin with, and you'll find that your hand is probably quite close to, kind of towards the center of your back, but we want it more towards your shoulder blades just to change the stretch. So use your other hand just to draw the elbow in and bring the hand so it's level with your shoulder blade. And then lift the elbows of both arms up. Gently release. Now take your strap. So we couldn't get into this position from the last one, we had to come to it separately. I realised as I'm doing this. So you drop your strap over your head, now you bring the other hand around and hold it, and you walk the hands together. And you're lifting the top elbow, in this case your left, as high as you can. And the face yoga in this position is move all of your face to the opposite direction. So you're going to move all of your face, your eyes, your jaw, everything you can to your right. Move your face across. It won't be a pretty face. Move the eyes, move the face, move the eyes, move the mouth, move the chin. Which made my voice go very strange. And release. Again, we're starting to feel a lot of the effects of that in our shoulders. So this time dropping the strap down over your other shoulder, bring the other hand around, walk the hands together, up the strap so you can come as far as you can. The problem with doing this, some people are flexible enough just about to reach their hands. The problem with doing that is that you often end up a little bit bent forward, so you're not getting much of a stretch to your shoulders at all. The aim of this pose is not to touch and hold the hands. The aim of the pose is to open up the shoulders. And again, this time we're going to slide all of the face across to your right, your left, the opposite direction to where your elbow is. And I won't try and do it this time because my voice went strange. And release. And then, probably the most famous face posture in yoga, lion's breath. So, take the hands out in front of you, clasp the hands together, and lift the arms up to the ceiling. Again, the stretch here will come from rotating back, rotating the shoulders back, lifting the little fingers up towards the ceiling. Lion's breath, you inhale. When you exhale, you open your mouth, you stick your tongue out as wide as you can, and the idea of this one is you make as much noise as you can, the roar of that lion. So you inhale. And you repeat that 2 more times, inhaling. And then exhaling, roaring the breath out through the mouth. And the last time. Be proud as you let everything go. And slowly, lower the arms down. And finally finishing with some do-in tapping. So with the fingers, little pointed fingers, begin to gently tap around the forehead. So like the face yoga exercises we were doing before, this stimulates the skin, brings blood into the face, helps the circulation, probably has anti-aging properties as well. And then the top of the head, around the crown and the sides, the back of the head down to the top of the neck and back up again. And the sides of the head and around the ears and down the jawline. And back to the ears, then hold the ears and move the ears around. Circulation into the ears. And then with your index fingers, stroking from the corners of the eyes out to the temples. And then tapping across the cheeks and round the mouth and the nose. Just covering as much of the surface of the face as you can. And then coming down the throat. And then with the flat of your hand or with a light fist, coming to your right shoulder and slap down your right arm and back up. And you can do that with a fist if you want to. And then change down the other way. And adjust. And down, round. And the kidneys at the back, massaging the kidneys, bring the heat in there, heat that's in the hands. And then coming off your blocks where you've been for quite a long time. And come to a seated position and gently stretch the legs out in front of you. And then rub the palms of the hands together. And very gently begin to use your hands to bring the circulation back into the legs, going down on the outside and up the inside, and down to the feet. And from here, coming up onto all fours, and just checking that all the bones are stacked above each other. The hips above the knees, the shoulders above the elbows, above the wrists, in a nice tabletop position. And then very slowly begin to move into down and up cats as you go down, draw the tummy in. As you come up, gently arching the back. Exhale, pressing into the arms, drawing the tummy up, drawing the chin down towards the chest. Inhale, the pelvis tilts the other way, gently arching the back, checking that the shoulders stay away from the ears. And just follow that smooth, even motion with your breath count. Begin to level out the breath as you move effortlessly in that gentle flow. And then begin to circle the hips around, make small circles to begin with, and then making the circles bigger. And you can also do going up and down here, so up cat as you go forward and tuck down as you go back. Just, you don't need to follow my movements here, just keep going in the same direction, but move the hips however you want to before you change and repeat. Something similar the other side. It might be different. This side might feel a bit different. The circles might be different. Just loosening the hips. And then knees and the bottom back towards the heels. Taking the knees as wide as you can. So you come into a wide child's pose. Lots of space for the tummy to come down here. And props you can use here. You can use a block, which is quite nice under the forehead. Obviously a book or a blanket would fulfill the same function. You have the hands on the floor. You can also hold the elbows. Right holding left, left holding right. You have the hands flat on the floor as I have here, or you can gently clasp the hands. And start to imagine here that it's the bones and the joints rather than the muscles that are stretching. That would take your attention deeper and will therefore facilitate the traction in this position being a bit deeper. Target area here is the inner groins. For people with very flexible hips, this might be a very gentle position. And for others, me included, that sensation might be strong, but there should be some sensation. If there isn't, you can come to frog pose where you separate the feet and you bring the hips up above the knees. And I'm assuming those of you who need that know that pose, so I'm not going to show you it. And then coming up and coming into pose that has various names. We'll call it puppy pose today. So notice that in this position your thighs are vertical. Your hips are above your knees. Your head, as with me here, it can be on the floor. If your back is very flexible, you can look forward and curve your chest down towards the floor. That creates a much deeper stretch in the arch. As before, you can have a block under the forehead. Just take your time to get comfortable. The hips gently move back towards the heels, but you're not going for a yang stretch here. You're just gently moving the hips back away from the hands. And again, imagining that it's the bones and the joints here. It's a very brief hold there. That's quite a strong position. And from here, threading the needle. So you can either do it from the puppy position. That's going to be stronger. You can rest the head on the block. Your top arm can be alongside the ear, or it can be out to the side supporting you there. That's the hand you use to come up. Or if that's a little bit too strong for you, you can take the bottom back towards the heels in a knees separated child's pose and thread the needle from there. Of course, you can have more than one block there if you feel that you need more support for the head and for this twist. Gently breathing in and out through the nose. Nothing to do here except to keep your awareness on your breath. Trying to keep the breath as smooth and as even as you can, accepting that it might not be the case. So not forcing anything, you're allowing the breath to calm and soothe before you push yourself out of the position and move to the other side. And again, you can come into it from the puppy position or from the tabletop position, the arms slightly further forward, and slide. In this case, it's my right arm sliding halfway between my left hand and my left knee, and the left arm again can be straight. So I'm demonstrating the puppy version on this side, so my bottom is not back on my heels, which we showed was an easier version in the last position. And once you get comfortable, head on or off the block. Or if it's taking you a bit longer to get into the position, just take your time if this is new to you. And then begin to breathe consciously. Become as muscularly unengaged as you can. Change the position if you need to. That may be because you're new to this, or it may be because you're very experienced and you know that things start to release a little bit. And slowly coming up. And taking the bottom back towards the heels, keeping the heels off the floor, and then gently straightening the legs and easing the heels down towards the floor. And again, bend the knees. Keep them just off the floor, then take the hips back and then up towards the ceiling on your tiptoes before you draw the heels down. Just creating a wave-like movement there as you stretch the legs out in that upside down position. Of course, you can walk the dog here as well, bending one first one leg and then the other. And our next position is Sphinx. Again, it's a yin back bend designed to be held for a long time. So a blanket here rolled up will give you lots of different options. You come to lie on your front Legs are separated a nice distance, whatever's comfortable for you. In the classic position, you can have the palms of the hands together, or you can have the classic Sphinx position with the hands flat on the floor. So notice there's a mild arch in my back. It's a position that we can often hold for 10 or 15 minutes. We're not going to hold it that long today. So there's ways you can make this position stronger. If you're comfortable in your position, just stay there. Just are the options. You can have the holding the elbows. The closer the elbows are to the body, the stronger the arch you can see. If I take them away from me, I can control that arch and make it a little bit less accentuated. To make the position stronger, you can have a couple of blocks or level books in front of you and rest the elbows on them with the palms of the hands together. Or again, you can hold the elbows if you've got enough width with the books or the blocks for that to happen. This is a stronger position. Using the blanket, if you have the blanket down under the pubic bone, this is going to soften the position quite considerably. Again, this might be the best variation for some people. This is quite a soft blanket. Maybe a harder one is slightly better. If you can have it forward also under the top ribs, again, that supports you in a slightly different way. Some people prefer that one. So we're not using props because we're not capable of doing the position as it is, because we're going to feel it in whatever posture we're in. We're just trying to find the posture that gives us just the right amount of sensation in our target area. The target area in this posture is the lower back. So you're changing the position to create enough sensation for you, for your body today. And breathing. If it's at all uncomfortable having your head up, you can vary the position of the head. You can have it down or you can move it around at different times. This is not a neck stretch, so the position of the head is entirely optional. If you have a big enough pile of blocks or a bolster, you can rest your hands on the bolster. Smooth and even out the breath. So it's almost like you're gently pulling your body apart. It's a very aggressive way to put it, but you're very gently easing things apart. We are here for a bit longer, so just move from breath to breath. To come out of the position, ease the elbows out to the side. Make a pillow with one hand on top of the other and rest your forehead on the top hand. And you stay here for as long as you need to. It's a relatively short hold for us, but you still might have quite strong sensations in the lower back. So you pause here until those sensations ease before you bring the hands under the shoulders and push back to child's pose. Bottom comes back to heels. At different positions you can stack your fists under your forehead. It's particularly useful if your buttocks are a long way from your heels. Or of course you can stack your forehead on top of a couple of blocks or a couple of blankets. You can have the arms out in front with the elbows bent, or the classic child's pose position with the hands either side the feet, palms facing up. And show you how that works with a book. Surprisingly relaxing This is a relaxation position. It's not a yin posture, it's more a restorative posture. And then you're going to need a block or something to sit on. So you're just lifting your hips a little bit off the floor. Again, come to the front edge of that block so you feel a tilt, and your pelvis, probably maybe easier to track the movement of your bottom. Your buttocks feel like they move back. They're not moving forward, they're moving back. Just showing you what we can do here with some cushions as well. So the soles of the feet together, and they're quite a long way away from you, so you make a diamond shape with your legs. If it's uncomfortable for the knees, you can have cushions under the knees, one under one knee, one under the other, to come down. Whichever position is comfortable, the point of focus here, our target, is mainly the lower back, so gently curving the lower back. And depending on your flexibility, you may also feel stress here in the inner thighs, the upper groins, and the outer thighs, the hamstrings maybe. You can also take your hands under your ankles and wrap them round, which I'm going to show you here. That gives you just a little bit of traction with the hands to pull yourself down a bit further, and just allow the head to relax. So the ligaments along the back of the spine, the groin stretch will depend on how close the heels are to the body. Some people might prefer to have them a bit closer. There's also some sensation in the hips. Maybe. Moving into the stage of the lesson where hopefully we're becoming more comfortable with being immobile and learning that lesson, slowly coming up and keeping the same position on your block or your blanket or whatever, coming into caterpillar position. So you can choose here. You can either have the straight-legged version in front of you, and to make this softer you can have the soles of the feet on the floor. Or you can have the heels on the floor but the knees bent and cushions under the knees, which is a nice posture as well, and that might create enough sensation for you depending on your flexibility. If you want a little bit more, then come to a straddle position, a yin position called dragonfly, where you take your legs as wide as you can. I'm not demonstrating that position here. And you fold down the center. That will target a slightly different area. If the legs are separated, you're going to be, the target areas, the hips, the groin, and the back of the thighs. In the position you're seeing here, again, it's the ligaments along the spine, the hamstrings, and the hips. It was a brief hold. Then another back bend, which is called bridge. We're doing the version which is supported. So a couple of blocks here, or just to show you that it's possible, a couple of books or 3 books. They can be a bit bigger than the ones I've got there. You can see the size of the yoga block, but you don't need a massive area here for this block. It's going to come under the sacrum. So the support is where my hands are there, under the pelvis, under the sacrum. It's not under the lower back. We want the lower back to be unsupported because there's a slight bend here, and also it's not so comfortable. So you might need to experiment a little bit, as I'm doing here, just to find exactly the right position where the blocks or the books are just resting on the sacrum, that triangular bony bit at the bottom of the spine. So you feel supported, you feel you could be here for 15 minutes. Again, these are common holds, we're holding it less time. You can straighten the legs out in front of you. That's another option if it's comfortable, and the arms over the head. Or a combination of the two, or just the classic position with the hands to the side. So legs fully straight will create the deepest stress in the lower back and the sacrum and the hip flexors. Raising the arms overhead also increases the tension in the lower abdomen and the hip flexors. But if that's a posture that creates any tingling or electrical feelings in the hands and the shoulders or anywhere in the upper body, then just bring the arms back to the side as they are for me. Primary targeted area is the sacrum, the lower back. And if it is comfortable to have your arms over the head, for many students that creates a nice stress in the lower belly as well, and tension also rises through the hip flexors. Just allow the body to absorb itself in this position, melt into this position. And then gently remove your support and gently stretch the legs out into the relaxation position for a moment, absorbing the benefits of the rebound effect of that posture. And we'll slowly going to find a nice easy way up to a tabletop position, and we're going to do sleeping swan. So this is another posture for the hips, and it comes in lots of different flavors, this posture, but in the one that we're doing, we are padding to create a posture that we can hold for a length of time. So as you can see with me there, the space between my right buttock and the floor. So 1 block, 2 blocks, 3 blocks, just enough for the weight of that hip to be able to drop down into the support that you've gained there. So you can relax that buttock. It's not just off the floor tensing, which makes this a much more dynamic posture. So there's different alternatives there. Also, you can rest your head on a block or a blanket. And how far your right knee is forward in this position will be dictated by your bone structure probably as much as your flexibility. You can also pad under the knee of the back leg if you want to. And if this posture is not accessible to you at all, then you can just roll across onto your right buttock. So if the other position isn't accessible to you, then this posture will give you that stretch into your right hip. The height and the tilt of the pelvis will be different for different people, but where we feel the stress, the focus, the target area is the most important thing in yin yoga. And in this situation, it's the IT band, which runs from just above the hip down along the outside of the thigh to just below the knee. And the IT band is made up of fascia. In fact, the largest bit of connective tissue, fascia, in the human body, has a big influence on the sciatic nerve, which is the biggest nerve in the body. That nerve, sciatic nerve, which begins in the lower spine and follows a long path through the buttock to send nerve endings down the back of the thigh. You might feel also a little bit of stress in the back leg. But once you establish your primary focus, as you've done, of the stretch, everything else that you do is optional and just designed for comfort. How far your right foot comes forward without feeling it in your knee or ankle, which is obviously a bad sign. We're going to set up on the other side. You might want to just stretch up for a moment into the swan position, which we might do a little bit more of in the next class. And we're turning it into a back bend. And then we're going to slowly set up on the other side. So moving the blocks out of the way. And maybe a little stretch back into downward dog, which feels particularly nice after swan pose. Especially given that we haven't held it for a very long time. So I've just turned around so you can see what's happening. So the left foot here just goes forward to its comfortable position, stretching the back leg behind you, padding under that back knee if you want to, and then finding that padding under the left buttock now. And you probably noticed if you looked at the last one that as my weight sinks down, sometimes one of the blocks just lifts. Ideal being that you have a flat back. Tilting across to one way or the other will intensify or reduce the stress. You choose just the right position that you feel you can hold. Now you know it's like a couple of minutes. It's not a massive hold. So you might be able to take more or less intensity depending on how much you feel. And remember, of course, that you can always roll over onto that left buttock completely. You might also find that after a little time you can just release a bit more. So you're trying to have as little muscular tension in the body as possible. And slowly finding your way up again. If you want to come up into the up position for a moment before you stretch back to downward dog, walking the dog a few times, bending one knee, then the other. Maybe a few wave-like movements back as we did before, shifting the pelvis back before you gently ease the heels down. And then a twist. A simple supine twist here. So lying on your back. How far the feet are apart is entirely optional for you, whatever feels best. And we're just going to drop the knees to the left. If you want to here, you can pad under your left knee. Do the other feet more comfortable further down the mat or further up towards the buttocks? That will change the target of the twist. To make it stronger, you can cross the leg over, the right leg over the left, and drop to your left. And the arms again is entirely optional, the arm position. If you have the arm over the head, you just get a nice stretch in the underarm and the right side of the chest. An option if you want it. And identify where the stretch for you begins and where it ends. So in the position I'm in, it probably begins somewhere down above my right knee and finishes somewhere under the arm or maybe in the right arm. So on your inhale, imagine you're breathing all the way up that line where you're feeling the stretch. And as you exhale, you relax and breathe in your imagination all the way down the line of that stretch. Inhaling up the line of the stretch, feel that inhale creates a little bit of tension, and how the exhale naturally creates release. Been into the class a long time now, so the breath will be calmer and smoother than it was, maybe slower. And then coming up, if your head was turned, bring your head to the center first. Spend a moment in the center, moving any props that you were using to the other side. And then when you're ready, you're going to drop your knees across to the right. The left leg can wrap over the right leg if you want to. And this time the left arm can stretch up alongside your left ear if you want to. The head position, again, is entirely optional here. You can turn away from the twist to your left, you can have it in the center, you can alternate it. As before when we were doing on the other postures, this is not a twist for the neck. So find the line of the stretch that you've established. And as you did before, imagine you're inhaling up the line of that stretch. Maybe alighting for a moment on your left hip, left side of the waist, left side of the rib cage, left underarm, all the way down to your fingertips, and exhale down, relaxing from your fingertips, underarm, left side of the chest, left side of the waist, left hip, all the way down towards your, or to maybe your left knee. And slowly coming up, maybe taking the knees to chest for a moment, and when you're comfortable, roll over onto your side for our final posture in this yin sequence. I forgot to demonstrate it, but you can have your legs up the wall. I could have had the legs up the wall behind you, coming into it from behind me, coming into it from the side, or just coming onto a block. Again, finding the best position for the block. It's probably about halfway on your, maybe a bit of your lower back and also your sacrum. So it should be comfortable, so the legs just shoot up in the air. A wonderful release for tired legs, this pose. And then coming down and back to Shavasana. And there are choices here. You can stay here in this relaxation position if you're nice and comfortable here. You can come up and do some meditation if you want to. Now your body is very relaxed and very prepared for that. Or you just lie here for as long as you want to. I'm going to finish the video now. When you finally come up as slowly as you can, so you don't let go of any of that relaxation until you absolutely have to. I'd like to thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this class. Namaste.